Welcome to season 1, episode 1 of Spurs of the Moment. We have the lineups for today's game against Brighton. It starts in about half an hour, so we'll get to that. But maybe I first thought we could take a little trip and introduce ourselves and how we came to be and what we hope to achieve through this. So the original title for this was Spurs of the Moment, a dad and his boys talk Tottenham from stateside. Now, it's a stupid, weird name, but it does kind of explain what we're trying to do, what we're all about. The next question you might ask, or a couple of questions you might have, are, why a podcast? And then the second question would be why Spurs? So to answer the first question, the podcast idea came about by Sam. Actually, let's go back a second. So I'm the dad, and those are the two boys. I should have said that first. Dad Jay, the guy without that has cleanly shorn is Sam. He's my youngest, and then Matt in the middle with the beard.
Cois.
So the podcast came about. The idea came about. We sort of text back and forth furiously before, after, and during most games. And Sam had the idea, why don't we do a chat? Why don't we do a Zoom? And then that kind of morphed into why not a podcast? And we're like, why not? Even if it's just for us. So that's what we're doing. And then why Spurs? Kind of a convoluted story, but way back in sort of the mid 2006, 2007, Fox Soccer and Fox Soccer Plus came to our cable provider. And I just fell in love with the English Premier League. And then I guess for Spurs, from a neutral perspective, it was fun to watch, but, you kind of need that sort of team to support and root for, and, that the results mean something for. And so
Can I chime in real quick?
Yeah.
Who are some of the players that you remember on the first Spurs teams when you started watching?
So my first recollection, Steed Malbronk. He was
I have no idea who that is.
Yeah, it's just it was a team of a lot of. I mean, if you go back and look like the 2006, 2002, 2008, 2009 rosters, there are people that you remember. You'll see names like Aaron Lennon. You'll see names like some English internationals. Even later, I mean, you'll know all the names. You'll recognize them from watching it in 2015 and 16 in the posh years. But going back to that sort of why Spurs, I had a sort of an immediate distaste for Fergie and Arsene Wenger and all these guys that win constantly, and I have a soft spot for the underdog. And I started watching this one team that was on quite frequently, with a quirky sort of chicken, whatever it is, rooster mascot, and a real affable manager by the name of Martin Jol. And then a couple of years later, they sort of going into this relegation period where there was a concern that they were going to, and they brought in this other quirky manager with a droopy eye. But I just loved the way, the style of play that they could score a lot of goals, but they gave up a lot of goals. You never really knew what was going to happen. And so I just sort of fell in love with the team and followed them. And then through my watching, I think the boys also kind of began watching them too. They would hear me yell and scream, and whether or not they were paying attention to the game, they'd come in and watch it occasionally and then go off on their way. So that's a little bit. I'm sure we can talk more about that later on in future episodes. But I guess now we can get back into sort of the meat and the potatoes of the podcast. I think what we're thinking initially is kind of a format of having some kind of discussion about the starting lineups, and then predictions for the game, and then the meat of the discussion would be around the game itself, reactions to the game, and then of course maybe we could have a section where we talk about the games coming up in the next week or two. So that being said, we have had a chance to look at the lineups. What are you thinking, lads?
I'm glad to see Udogie back in there. First and
100%.
He's big. Not much. I mean, Højbjerg being in there. It's frustrating. He's going to change things up, but it's the debate between him and Skip, and I feel like both of them right now don't add too much to the team.
I think
So
when
it's the
my
lesser of
eyes,
two evils.
for sure, and the center of the midfield to me will sort itself out. When the lineups came out, my eyes immediately went to the back four, and for me, what stood out was what wasn't there in Eric Dyer, and to me, that's number one. And I think beyond him just not being in the lineup today, I think it kind of goes to show how Ange feels about him. That losing Romero is huge, but not putting Dyer in is just as big. And I think it's his way moving forward. And for me, as a anti-Eric Dyer supporter,
I do feel
So-
bad for the guy though. It just seems like he's just
yeah, but that's professional sports.
Yeah,
not
no,
even
I agree
just
completely.
soccer.
I think that was the first thing I looked at. I mean, it is such a shame that Romero's not there, but Emerson Royale's played there a couple times this year, so I don't think we necessarily are too concerned about that. Love Pedro Porro. I think he's awesome, and as you said, Matt, Destiny Adogi, what a player he is. I think he's just going to get better and better and better. He's only 20 years old.
Are we giving creed to all of these? What's coming out saying that Eric Dyer can leave for free, that Hugo's leaving for free, that some of these players that have been there for a super long time that were just like, you guys have free leave in January? Is this why we're not seeing Eric Dyer today? Is because we're like, well, we're getting rid of him?
He's not in their plans. I don't think he fits the style of soccer that we're playing. I mean, he's too slow for one thing. He doesn't really, he just sort of thumps balls clear. He doesn't have that ball control skill. He has no recovery speed. He just doesn't fit in the plan. But I think that too is part of it. They're not going to give him a new contract for sure.
No.
Did you see the latest with Ugo?
America,
Los Angeles.
Right? Yeah. I think that just came out today. So that'll be I hope he gets it. I hope because I mean I was looking, he plays something like 450 games
It's
with
insane.
the club. It's crazy.
He was a well-deserved captain, and he was one of the best shot stoppers for an extremely long time.
He was France national. He's a
and he just
don't
retired.
Pass it back to him. Don't do that.
No.
Don't let him play around up in the back.
So how do we feel about Brennan Johnson?
I think he's going to be a stud.
Could not agree more.
I agree too. I'm glad to see that he didn't lose his place. I loved Kulusevski in that sort of 10 spot, playing the Madison role until he returns. And then, if he continues to play like this, you wonder whether he's even whether they'll, does he have to give up that role right away? I would argue that
seeing what's happening, no, I mean, the amount of injuries, is everybody going to be, are you ever going to be able to see your true starting 11?
Well, speaking of injuries in lineup, I mean, it's great I think this is the best team for today's match, but you look at those substitutes and it's like, Lo Celso can make a difference. And then the rest are just sort of young guns that we haven't really seen play. And
I agree.
Then Eric Dyer and a goalie. So it's like, you just hope that, I guess for today's match, that we set the tone early and often, put a few goals in the back of the net, and can sort of coast through the rest of the 90 minutes. But there's not much coming off the bench.
You're right. I just hope there's an opportunity to play some of these young guys. I think there was some chatter earlier today and yesterday about Alfie Dorrington potentially coming in, replacing Romero. I think it's probably not the game for that. I think the problem is with Brighton is they play a game a lot like ours.
With, a lot like us. Aren't they out 10 or 11 guys as well?
They are. They've got some injuries too, but I think their style of play, I think there's going to be a ton of goals. I don't believe they've kept a clean sheet all year.
Brighton?
I mean, there are bound to be goals, and I don't see them keeping a clean sheet today either. Yet I'm not sure that I see us keeping one.
Well, if you talk about a lot of goals, they've not that I'm a sports gambler by any stretch of the imagination, but they've got the over under at 3.5. So
yeah,
well,
that's a 2-1 game you're talking. I mean, if Vegas thinks so, 2-1, 2-2.
They
Yeah.
are at home, but their home form has been not all that great.
Not as good as their away
Um,
form.
and their away form, they haven't been in great form, though they did do well in the UEFA League. They had that last minute win. João Pedro, who's playing today, had a last minute goal to beat Marseille. So it's kind of like, they kind of shot their wad in a way. And they seem to have lost their way a bit in the Premier League. They're still a great team. They're still a fun team to watch. I think probably next to like Man City and us now, they're one of the better teams to
I
as
might
a
throw
new,
Everton in there lately watching them play. I mean,
yeah.
even yesterday I thought they looked really good.
I thought they were unlucky to lose yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
Well,
but
You
Man
thank
City
my
is
boy.
what they are.
Man City is what they are, but again, Man City have been struggling as of late to finish games as well.
Yeah.
Back to looking at Dorrington, I found it sort of the talk for a long time was about this Ashley Phillips guy, and I thought that he might be one to come in for an Eric Dyer. Is it Eric Dyer or is it Ashley Phillips? But then you hear a lot about, well, no, it's not Phillips. It's this Dorrington guy who
Yeah.
he plays for the U21s, right?
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's
so
just
does
been
Phillips does too, but it's like I think that there's an element. I was listening. There's something. Oh, one of the other podcasts I listened to. They have a guy that is sort of an expert on the youth league, and they say that Dorrington is a better player, but
mhm.
Phillips is a better physical. He's more of a man's body right now. Dorrington has some filling out to do, and once that happens, they think that he's going to be a real good player. But
I mean, just on paper, Ashley Phillips, they've got him listed at 6'4".
he's huge.
He's born
He's
in
huge.
2005, so he's only 18. I mean,
I know.
you're nothing but a boy at that. I'm sure he's got some filling out to do himself, but it's good to know that he's got sort of that physical, I don't know, acumen
Yeah.
at 18.
But like he's hurt, and I don't know. I
Yeah.
think because anyway,
Is that why? Why don't you see Lo Celso playing alongside Pape? Like
instead of
why?
Hoiberg?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't like huge Lascelles. So
I feel like he has more. What are you gonna get from Hoiberg? You're gonna get some grunts and some hoo-has and some get where you need to be.
I
And
cannot stand him. He's gonna
I
roll around the ground like he's
and
hurt, and it's gonna.
Hoiberg won't go the
even
full
with his
90.
physical presence, though, like for a long time he had this sort of like there
But
was
then
a presence that I sort of admired a little bit, but as of late, watching him
it's
pass
painful.
the ball is his
I,
passes have been atrocious. Just
Mhm.
I'm
giving the ball away in
convinced.
dumb areas. He
I'm
can't play.
convinced that he's doing it on purpose. That's my theory. I have a theory that he's doing it intentionally because he knows he's not going to be around. He's a professional player. He
Not
knows
helping himself out.
no. Then he makes these impossible passes. Like he'll fire a rocket at somebody from 10 feet away, and they have no way of it. Yeah, it got to him, but there's no way he can control it. Or he'll try these through balls that have no chance of making it, or he passes it back. I can't
Which
stand.
is also what Skip's gonna do. But I just feel like with somebody like Sar who can
Love Sar.
be at any point on the field in 7.6 seconds with his stride that he's got, just glides across the field. I feel like that would be a more scoring tandem than Hoiberg.
Yeah, but I think you need that number. You need that. Nobody can fill that role, even though Basuma wasn't playing that great lately. I mean, he's just such a great
I mean,
player
So
with the
strong. Yeah.
ball.
And
All
I
right,
think the last thing I'll say about Hoiberg in this lineup, you've got Son, Kulu, Johnson, Richarlison, they're all going for the goal. I think you bring on Lo Celso if you need help putting another one in the back of the net because he is more forward minded than Hoiberg. But I just hope we don't get to that point. I want to see early goals. I don't want to keep Brighton hanging around because those are the games where it seems like everything falls off the tracks is when we're trying too hard to put the ball in the back of the net because we need to.
All right, so what do you think? A couple more minutes? Maybe give some predictions. Who scores?
Sure.
I mean, I think it's a day for Johnson. I think he's going to put one in the back. He's had a
He's
couple
due.
opportunities the last couple of games where he's just either put it over the net or put it outside wide or should the key. I think he puts one in the back today.
Would not be surprised. I would also, I think they're gonna be running that side because James Milner, who's like 90 years old, is the midfielder on that side. He usually plays on the left, and I just hope they just run him into the ground because when you got Porro and Johnson on that right, it could be deadly. So if he doesn't score, I imagine he puts in a couple of good balls. Hopefully, gets an assist or two in addition to a goal. I see Richie scoring again.
I mean, he's got a
taste. He's got a taste.
No, I mean, what are the prop bets with him putting one in with his head or his foot? Because lately his foot's been pretty good. He's found the right spots. I think I'd be down for Richie to have one too, maybe two.
Yeah, I wouldn't knock out Son to have one either.
Yeah, I captained him.
Yeah, I think my final prediction for the game, I think I'm going to go 3-1 Tottenham.
Ooh,
love that. I was gonna say the same thing. 3-1.
I need to
I'll mix
take a
it
look
up.
at.
I'll go 3-2.
All right.
My initial instinct was actually 4-2. I thought we were going to put some behind today. I didn't. I'm taking a look at Brighton's lineup for the first time.
They got Dunk back. He was out. I think he's serving a suspension, so that may be.
That's going to be tough. I mean, they're just going to be gunning for these corners because.
Well, they're a big team. That's another.
They are a big team, and that's thinking about our back four right now.
Yeah,
it's not the biggest. I mean,
no, not at all.
Who's your biggest guy out there? Is it Udogie?
I don't even think he's that.
It's kind of a
star.
I'm just saying of who your back four is.
Oh, the back four.
Yeah,
well,
like Royal probably.
Really?
Is Royal bigger than Udogie?
How tall is he?
I don't think so. I think Udogie's a pretty big dude.
I don't know. I mean, you have to bring,
Udogie 6'1", and we've got Royal at.
Davies is not tall.
No.
Hoiberg's not. He's not.
Royal's 5'11", so Udogie's got him by 2 inches on paper. So
Hoiberg's a 6-footer, isn't he? And Sarr, of course, can get it there and help out. I don't think.
I know, but
the
issue with Sarr, he might not be. But even still, Dunk is gonna. Boss him around in the box. Yeah. He's not gonna.
Well, Vic will take care of it.
Yeah.
He'll just palm it away or reach out and grab it. We don't have any concerns.
12th man right there. I mean, he's a presence.